As we celebrate Black History this month, we've lost another Black man, unable to grow old. A man who weeks ago was buried and who died at the hands of police. And while we may differ on how we process the brutal way Tyre Nichols died and the impact it has on our lives, you may agree after watching this story that your right to peacefully protest connects all of us to a case that has become a landmark for social change. A case with roots found right here in our backyard. Tonight, we head to Salisbury.
See, you can barely read this one. Something 85.
Broken grave markers, worn down headstones. Few are legible.
See, this is falling off of this top right here.
Evidence of a final resting place for slaves and their descendants. Well, this land was deeded to the city of Salisbury in the late 1800s. The historical marker states there have been more than 425 documented burials. Historians estimate more.
That's part of Lincoln School.
Dee Dee Wright is one of many who lives in Salisbury, tasked with giving the Dixonville Lincoln Memorial Project life. A landmark in the East End neighborhood, it bridges the path to the Lincoln School. Salisbury residents were educated there during the days of segregation. And this fight for change is not a first for this civil rights leader. The latest issue of Salisbury Magazine shows Dee Dee Wright shining. And as you flip through, her mantle of memories, a framed police mugshot taken July 16, 1960, at just 15 years old. When Wright and 7 other African Americans made national headlines in her hometown of Greenville, South Carolina. Well, she protested alongside a young man who would go on to run for president in 1984.
We were arrested, Jesse Jackson, along with myself and 6 other people, and became known as the Greenville 8. We did not have a pool, so we protested at the pool. They shut the pool down and put live Alaskan seals in them. Yes. They closed the skating rink down. We sat in at the Five and Dimes. That was our activity leading up to coming to Columbia to protest on the state grounds. One of the songs we sang as we marched around the Capitol is that we're fighting for our children. We're fighting for our freedom. We will not be moved. It's like a tree that's planted by the waters. We will not be moved.
It was here at the South Carolina State Capitol where Dee Dee Wright would be arrested and spend her first night in jail in solitary confinement.
I just can't imagine a 16-year-old in solitary confinement.
It's painful. And I guess if I allow myself, I would probably dwell on it. But I felt that that was something that was needed. And right now the country is benefiting from it. So it compensates for that.
The students stood outside Zion Baptist Church in downtown Columbia. The structure, built in 1916, was the meeting spot for the students who would march to the State House March 2, 1961, and was known as a sanctuary church. Well, inside Zion Baptist, I sat down with University of South Carolina Executive Director for the Center for Civilization Research, Dr. Bobby Donaldson, as he recounts the history of that day.
So the corner of Main and Gervais was the intersection of downtown Columbia. And in the early 1960s, it was a platform for public protest against racial discrimination. There were young men and women who were brave enough to challenge the status quo, who were brave enough to envision a different future for themselves and their families. And Dee Dee Wright was on the front lines of that struggle.
We came from 2 or 3 different directions. We didn't all march together. Some marched from Zion Baptist Church. Some of us marched from that direction, and we met directly in the middle of the Capitol and sang.
As they're singing, they are arrested for protesting on the grounds of the State House. They did not know that day, March 2nd, would be the beginning of a milestone United States Supreme Court case called Edwards versus South Carolina. And that case became a landmark Supreme Court case that is taught in law schools all across this country. In 1963, in an 8-1 decision, the United States Supreme Court overturned the convictions of D.D. Wright, the 187 other young men and women who were on those grounds.
So being here in Columbia, I mean, when you see just people walking around right now, what kind of goes through your mind just being back here?
It's really funny that I just wonder how many people stop and read this sign and see what it says and see what it means.
For years, the struggle had been overlooked, buried in silence.
Thank you very much.
But an initiative led by Donaldson called Columbia SC 63, Our Story Matters, turned Main Street into a classroom.
There are historic markers from the State House to City Hall telling the story of civil rights. And the first marker is about March 2nd of 1961.
Would you just pull it down for me?
In 2021, we wanted to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the March at the State House. And we commissioned a state historical marker to be placed on that corner.
And next to it, a monument documenting the moment in time. D.D. Wright found her name, along with the man who would go on to become the House Majority Whip in the United States Congress.
Jim Clyburn was one of the 187 of us who were arrested at that time.
James Edwards, for whom the case was named, spoke when the monument was revealed to the public. He was 82 years old.
And it was hard at the time, because a lot of times I felt that I could have gotten killed, but I still had to do it. And I thank God for being a part of the civil rights movement.
And he looked at the crowd and said, "Do you all know what it means for me to run my fingers across a marble slab with my name and it not be in a cemetery?"
I think this is key. Declaring that states may not make criminal the peaceful expression of unpopular views. And for the thousands of others, from Black Lives Matter to many protests around the country, this was our contribution to those demonstrations, even today. And it's a good feeling.
But there's moments that you take a deep breath. There's moments that you pause. Explain that to me.
It's bittersweet. And as one gets older, they realize that they had to sacrifice certain things. It meant that I had to go to college late because my life was upended in Greenville because of the taunts and the threats.
Tyree Nichols! Tyree Nichols!
So timely, sad to say, with Tyree Nichols. You know, you're seeing protests, you're seeing people who want to be able to voice how they feel in a peaceful way that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the Edwards versus South Carolina case.
Well, the platform of peaceful protest is exactly what that case enabled. So when people look at photographs of students being challenged by police dogs and water hoses, the petitions that were utilized in Birmingham, they used the Edwards v. South Carolina case to secure those permits. When Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and others marched from Selma to Montgomery in 1965, they utilized Edwards versus South Carolina. When the Occupy movement sat down on the grounds of the State House and they were arrested upon the instructions of Governor Nikki Haley, those Occupy movement members utilized Edwards versus South Carolina in their defense. Just the other day, when Donald Trump came to Columbia, there were individuals standing on the grounds of the State House engaged in peaceful protests. They had the legal assurance that they could not be arrested because of Edwards versus South Carolina. So the case is enduring and quite impactful.
Back in Salisbury, inside the atrium of City Hall, D.D. Wright still fights for change.
Until we sit down and really learn each other and understand each other. Everybody has a history. Everybody thinks their history is important. So,
A fight to honor everyone's past.
people need to rest in peace, I think, don't you?
If you'd like to learn more about the cemetery and the Dixonville Lincoln Memorial Project, you can head to our website at qcnews.com. We also have more on Dee Dee Wright's newly released book titled The Right Thing: My Life in the Civil Rights Movement and Beyond.